This conference will now be recorded.
Right. So as part of today, we'll start with navigation between entities. Navigation between entities. Right. So it's a very simple part. See, the requirement is something like this. We require two entities here. One is a product entity, another is supplier entity. Okay. This product entity is a source entity and the supplier is a target entity. Okay, the source entity we call it as principal entity, and this target entity we call it as what dependent entity. Dependent entity. Okay, right. So, what is the relationship between these entities? Many to one. Many to one means what? There might be many products which are supplied by what same supplier. So there is no common field. There is no common field between these two entities. Going forward, we'll take another example like sales order header and sales order item. There you'll have the common field like what? Sales order number. So here there is no common field between the entities. Understood? So these are the two entities which we need to create. One is product, another is what? Supplier. So if you want to navigate from one entity to another entity, we need to define something called as association. Defining the association means we have to provide the name for the relationship. Okay, the named relationship is called as what? Association. Then on top of that association, we need to create what? Navigation product. Navigation property. We need to create the navigation property. As where do we create the navigation property? Always we'll create it as part of what? Principal entity. Okay, so this is the overall requirement. So we need to create what? Two entities. One is principal entity, another is what? Dependent entity. So first let me try to create them. One second. Right, so I'll go to scgw. Yeah, first let me create what? These entities. Let me create the product entity first. I'll give the project name. Navigation between entities. Right, I'll save it in the local object. So what is the project name here? Z615 project 3. Okay. So as part of this entity type, as part of this data model, I'll create one entity first. Let me give the entity name as something product. I'll create the related entity set. Now as part of this, let me create some properties. Right, I'm creating some properties. Let me give it as product id. Then let me give something type code. category, name, description, name, description, and let me give something what supplier ID. Supplier ID. Okay, so let me choose this. I'll make the product ID as a key property and I'll provide the data types for them. Right. So let me save it. Check for the syntax errors, no errors. Let me generate the runtime artifacts. So related to this entity, 5 stubs gets what generated. Okay. Then what else I have to create apart from this? I need to create one more entity. Let me give the name as something supplier. Okay, supplier ID and supplier name. Okay, so I'll just create another entity. Let me give the entity name as supplier. I'm giving the entity name as supplier. I'll create the related entity set. Done. So supplier entity got created. As part of this supplier entity, let me create some two properties. Okay, so product entity will store the product details. Supplier entity will store the supplier details. So this is supplier ID and this is supplier something name. I have to make one of them as key property. EDM.string. This also I'll choose it as what EDM.string. So supplier ID and what supplier name. So I created what two properties as part of this. Okay. Let me generate the runtime objects. Now what I have to do is, what is the requirement? I should be able to navigate from product entity to what supplier entity. So if you want to link two entities, if you want to link two entities, we need to create what association. We need to create the association. So you can see it under data model we have association. So let me choose association. I'll click on what? Sorry, let me just delete this. Let me check it. Activate it. So I need to create what association. Yeah, I'll right click on the association and say what create. Understood? If you want to what link two entities, if you want to navigate from one entity to another entity, we need to create first what association. Creating association nothing but we need to provide a name for the relationship. We need to provide a name for the relationships and right click on the association create. I'll give the association name as any name you can give. I'll give it as association underscore product underscore what supplier association underscore product underscore supplier some meaningful name. Then it is asking the principal entity and dependent entity. Principal entity is nothing but the source entity. What is the source entity here? When I browse this, we have two entities. So principal entity is what product. Then cardinality. Cardinality I'll choose it as what 1 is to n. Why 1 is to n you'll understand. Then here we need to provide the what dependent entity. What is the dependent entity here? Supplier. Okay, and here let me choose the cardinality as what 1. So why I'm choosing 1 means done. That's all. Yeah, done. So we have created what association. So why I the cardinality as 1 is to n and 1 year means what is the relationship between these two entities logically? There might be many products. There might be many products which are supplied by what? Same supplier. There are many products which are supplied by what? Same supplier. That's why I gave it as what n here and the right hand side I gave it as what 1. So I just created a association. Say next. Yeah, you can see here it is, yeah, it is asking for what? Referential what? Integrity, referential constraint. So again, if you go back to our ABAP concept, if you want to link two tables, we'll create the foreign key relationship at the table level, foreign key relationship. So as of now, in this case, I'm not creating any foreign key. I'm not creating any referential constraint. You can assume this referential constraint is nothing but what? A foreign key kind of thing. So I'm not putting any foreign key relationship. I'll just delete this. There is no referential constraint available. Done. I'll say next. Yeah, you can see here based on association, it will ask you for association set name and what? Principal entity set name and dependent entity set name. It is proposing the names automatically here. Nothing we have to do, just click on what? Finish. Yeah, association is what? Created means what is the relationship here? N is to 1. What is this n is to 1? There might be n number of products, n number of products supplied by what? Same supplier. That is the meaning. Okay, done. So association is created. Now what you have to do? Based on this association, I need to create what? Navigation property. Navigation property is always created in the principal entity. What is the principal entity here? Product na? So somewhere here under properties, under product, we have normal properties and we have navigation property. So I'll choose what? Navigation property. Let me create this. I'm trying to create the navigation property. So under navigation properties, what is? Yeah, good. Oh, acha, the navigation property is automatically what? Provided here. What is the navigation property they gave? Supplier it seems, and it is created on top of what? Association name, so and so. I want to provide my own meaningful name. Understood? This is provided by default. Let me remove this. How to remove? I'll just choose this. Click on what? Delete. Delete it. Okay, is it not deleted here? Let me save it. Okay, check. Yeah, it's deleted here. Now let me create the navigation property. I click on this. Not the create button is not there here. So I'll choose this. Click on what? Insert row. I'll give the navigation property name as anything you can give. I'll give it as what? To supplier. Then relationship name is nothing but association name. So if you browse this, what is the association name? Association underscore product underscore supplier. Done. Then it is asking the above field name. So like an alias name for your navigation property, we have to give some alias name. So I'll give the alias name as to underscore supplier. Wantedly, I'm not giving the same name. We'll get confused. This is my actual navigation property name. We need to provide some alternative name. Nothing but above field name. What is the to underscore supplier? Then the label, any description kind of thing. I'll give the description as navigate to what? Supplier. That let me save it. Check for the syntax error. Generate the runtime artifacts once again. So I summarize once again. I created two entities. One is product entity, another is what? Supplier entity. I need to navigate from one entity to another entity. Okay, means if I give the product, I should get the supplier details. So if you want to link two entities, we need to first create what? Association. While creating the association, we need to tell what is the source entity, nothing but principal entity, and what is the target entity, nothing but dependent entity. And what is the cardinality here? N is to 1 means there might be n number of products supplied by a supplier. So many to 1. Many products might be supplied by same supplier. Many to one. So once association is created, we need to create the navigation property. Navigation property is always created in what? Principal entity only. So as part of creating the navigation property, you have to provide your association name. Nothing but relationship name. That's all. So I'm done with what? Linking the two entities. Okay, linking the two entities, just have to create the association. On top of that association, we need to create what? We need to create what? Navigation properties. Now, here, these are the scenarios we have to address. Is it there here? Yeah. These are the scenarios I have to address in this case. What is that? I should able to list what? I have to return the list of all the products. I have to return the list of all the products, including what? Supplier ID. So if you want to return many products, what is the stub you have to implement? Get entity set, na? Get entity set, and at what entity level? Product. This anyhow we know. Then return the details of a product, including the supplier ID. What is the stub? If you want the details of a particular product, you have to implement what? Get entity. Okay, so this method is available as part of which entity? Product. So how do we give the URL for this? URL entity set name, in the parentheses you have to give a product ID. So first let me address these two. Understood? Okay, I have to address these two. So if you observe here, we have two entities now. What are they? Product and what? Supplier. Okay, so obviously we have two entity sets. You can see we have two entity sets. Okay, 1 second. Yeah, we have two entity sets, and you can see under service implementation we have two entity sets. As part of the first entity set, we have 5 stub methods. As part of the second entity set, also we have what? 5 stub methods. What is the understanding? For every entity, separate stub methods will be created by what? SAP to perform what? Crude operations. Right. Now, what is the? Let us focus one by one. We may not be able to do all the things today. We'll do one by one slowly. Okay. What is the first one? Return the list of what? So whenever you are creating two entities, we have to take care of all the scenarios. We have to take care of what all the scenarios. That's why I listed here. These are the 5 scenarios that we can implement as part of this example. First one is what? I have to return the list of what? All the products. So if you want to return many records, what is that entity? What is the stub method? Get entity set on winner. That's what I gave you. The stub method is what? Get entity set as part of which entity? Product. So let me try to quickly implement this. I'll right click on this. Go to what? ABAP workbench. It takes the control to the data product extension class. So scroll down. So you can see here data product extension class is one only. In that data product extension class only you can see the methods here. Product set underscore get underscore entity set. And we also have what? Supplier set underscore create entity, supplier set underscore what? Delete entity. All the things are available. 1 second. Yeah, you can see it. I'm able to see 5 methods. I'm able to see 5 methods for all these stuffs. Okay.
Hello.
Yeah, you can see it. Yeah, tell me. Yeah, tell me. Hello. हाँ देवशीष बोलो. Hello. Devashish, are you there? Yeah, is it audible to everyone? Hello.
Kartu baru masih login jadi pun. Hello.
Devashish, bolo yaar. You are speaking to
अरे
someone else.
हाँ सर एक्चुअली सर ऑथराइजेशन ऑब्जेक्ट यहाँ पर अप्लाई कर सकते हैं हम लोग.
You are writing ABAP code, na? So put the
हाँ.
authorization object. Yes, 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 we can. So that we can
सर
restrict the users.
सर आई एम स्टेइंग सर आई एम टेलिंग सो any specific method is there for authorization here.
Specific method nahi hai, wo syntax and ABAP में authorization object, how you will check the same syntax you have to use inside the method. There is no
Okay.
specific method. No, there is no separate method. It's the same logic you have to write.
Oh, thank you sir. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Where we are now? So what method? What is the scenario I want to implement here? Return the list of all the products, including the supplier ID. So this is the method. Na? Product set underscore get underscore what entity set. So let me open it in change mode. Sorry, excuse me. Yeah, product set underscore get underscore what entity set. I'll redefine that method. So I need to write the logic. I need to write the logic to get what? The list of what? Products. So what is the function model you have to call? BAPI underscore EPM underscore product underscore get underscore what? List. Sorry, excuse me. C37. What is that? BAPI underscore EPM underscore product underscore get underscore what? List. Okay, what is that it will return? There is no mandatory import parameters. It returns with an internal table of type structure. Excuse me, please. Yeah, BAPI underscore EPM underscore product underscore header. So let me declare an internal table of that sort. Get the list of what? All products. So it's a data T underscore header data type table of what? So I'll call the function model BAPI underscore EPM underscore product underscore get underscore what? List. Sorry. Get underscore list. I'm interested in this tables parameter. Done. So I'll get the data in the internal table what? T underscore what? Header data. So once I got the data in T underscore header data, what is that I have to do? I have to map it to the return type. Now if T underscore header data is not initial, if it is not initial, what you have to do? Map the retrieved product details with the return parameter. What is the return parameter? Already we know. What is that here? Et underscore entity setter. Yeah, I need to map it to this internal table. Et underscore entity set. So I require a work area of that sort. Data w underscore what? Entity set like line of what? Et underscore entity set. Then I will loop it. Loop at T underscore what? Header data into, I have not declared the work area. Na? Okay, then loop at T underscore header data into W underscore header data. I cannot use move corresponding. because the field names are slightly different. Here, what is the work area declared? W underscore what? Entity set. Okay, done. W underscore entity set hyphen. What are the fields in our entity? Product ID equal to what is the work area there? W underscore header data hyphen. What are the fields in that? Already we know. Product underscore ID. Product underscore ID. Product ID, and here the second property is what? Type code. Type code. Here it is type underscore code. Then what else? Category. Category. Then what else? Name. Name equal to here also name. Then description. Then this is what else I guess supplier ID. In my entity product, I get another field what? Supplier ID. Here it is supplier underscore ID. Okay, in my function model it is what? Supplier underscore ID. Let me cross check once. What are the field names here? Product underscore ID, type underscore code, category, name, description. Yeah, supplier underscore ID. Yeah, 6 fields. Done. Done. Then I'll append W underscore entity set. Append what? W underscore entity set to what is the return type we have seen? ET underscore what? Entity set. Yeah, what is that? ET underscore entity set. So I'm mapping it to what? Our return internal table. End loop, done, end if. That's all. Save it. So I'm getting the product details. I'm getting the product details, which includes what? Supplier ID also. So our product entity contains 6 properties: product ID, type code, category, name, description, what? Supplier ID. Okay. Then this is your for retrieving what? All the products. Let me implement what is this? Product set underscore. What is the next scenario? Return the details of a product including the supplier ID. So details of a particular product. So we are going to pass the key property as input now. What is the key property in our entity product? Product ID is the key property. So this is how you will pass the URL. So let me implement that stub method also. What is that? Product set underscore get underscore entity. So let me redefine. Here I need to write the logic to get the details of what? Particular product. Okay, so uh, I have to read the input value now because we are going to pass the product ID as what? Parameter. So read the input values. What is this product ID? Send to through what? Query string. Nothing but URL. Okay. So data. What is the parameter which will carry the input values? Already we know IT underscore key underscore what? Tab, which is of type what? So and so. Okay. Data W underscore key underscore tab type. I can say like line of IT underscore key underscore tab, or what is the work area of this table type? This is the work area. I can refer to what? Work area also. Anything is fine. Yeah, types are also done. Then I'll say read table. What is the parameter? IT underscore key underscore tab. Read table IT underscore key underscore tab into what is that? W underscore key underscore tab with a key. What is the key property in our first entity product ID? Na? So with the key product ID, done. Just to improve the performance, I'll say transporting values. I'll get the input value there. If size of R equal to 0, what I have to do? I have to get the product details based on the given product. So what is the function model we have to call? Already we know BAPI underscore EPM underscore product underscore get detail. Do we have any input parameter for this? Yes, we have a mandatory input parameter which is referring to a structure. Okay. In this structure, what is the field I have to refer? Product underscore ID. Product underscore ID. So I'll say size of R equal to 0. Prepare what? Input parameter containing what? Product ID. So also data w underscore what? Product underscore ID type what? So product underscore ID type so and so. Then w underscore product underscore ID w underscore product underscore ID hyphen what? Product underscore ID is equal to what is that? W underscore key and what is the work area? W underscore key underscore tab hyphen what value. So what is the product ID I'm passing? I'm assigning it to the input parameter. Done. Then I have to retrieve the specific product details now. Retrieve what? Specific product details. So I have to call this function model. I have to call this function model, so which returns what? It returns a work area. It returns a work area of type what? BAPI underscore EPM underscore product underscore header. It returns a work area of so and so sort. So also data W underscore what? Header type data W underscore header type BAPI underscore EPM underscore product underscore header. So I'll call the function model BAPI underscore EPM underscore get detail. Done. Product underscore ID equal to W underscore what? Product underscore ID. Importing header data work area what I declared W underscore header data. Sorry, WA underscore what? Header data. Done. That's all. So what is the next step now? I need to map. I need to map what? I need to map the retrieved. I need to map the retrieved product details with the return type. What is the return type parameter here? What is that? ER underscore entity, which is referring to structure. ER underscore entity. Okay, so I need to map it. So I'll say 1 second. Yeah, ER underscore entity. ER underscore entity hyphen. What are the entity properties? Product ID equal to what is the work area? W underscore header data hyphen what? Product underscore ID. Done. Repeat this process for the other properties. Yeah, here underscore entity hyphen. What is the next one? Type code. So first let me write the entity properties type code, and this is category, and this is what? Name, and this is description. Name description. What is the other entity I have taken? Is supplier ID. No? Supplier ID. Done. Supplier ID. Done. So here I will say what type underscore code, same logic boss. Okay, so nothing to discuss here. We have written this logic many times. Category, just have to retrieve the data and map it to the return parameters name, and this is also what? Description. And what is this? Supplier underscore what? ID. Supplier underscore ID. That's all I've done. Yeah, any if statement is there here? Yeah, if size of words, so end if. Let me save it, check for the syntax error, no errors, done. So I'm able to get the specific product details, which includes what? Which includes what? Supplier ID, which includes the supplier ID. Okay. Let me also go for This one. What is that? Return the list of what? All the, yeah, return the list of what? All the suppliers. Okay. Return the list of all the suppliers. So in which entity you have to implement is a supplier entity. What is the sub method? Get entity set. The stub is what? Get entity set. So let me get the list of what? All suppliers. So here I have to implement what? Supplier set underscore get underscore what? Entity set. Understood? So remember, you have to implement all the possible scenarios. Okay. So supplier set underscore get underscore entity set. I need to redefine that. I need to redefine. So I'll put the cursor, redefine the method. Done. So, how to get the list of suppliers means to get the list of products. To get the list of products, what is the function model we are using? BAPI underscore EPM underscore product underscore get list. Similarly, for supplier also, BAPI underscore EPM underscore business partner. Yeah, BP underscore what? Get list. Supplier is nothing but the business partner here. So what is the corresponding function module? BAPI underscore EPM underscore BP underscore what? Get list. Get business partner list, nothing but supplier list. What is the import section? No mandatory parameters. It returns me an internal table. Yeah, it returns me an internal table. Yeah, what is this? I want this one. Business partner header data. So I'll go for all are optional only. I'll go for business partner header details. So here I'll say what is it? Call what? BAPI function model to get the list of what? To get the list of all suppliers. Get the list of all suppliers. So data T underscore what BP header type table of so and so I require a work area also business partner header type what so and so. Just call the function model now. I'll call the function model BAPI underscore EPM underscore what BAPI underscore EPM underscore business partner underscore get underscore what list. Okay, these are optional only. Done. I'm interested in the business partner header details. So this only. What is it? T underscore what? Business partner header. That's all. Okay, so here also I need to return if T underscore business partner header. If T underscore business partner header is not initial. Okay, if it is not initial, what you have to do? We need to map. We need to map the retrieved what? We need to map the retrieved supplier details. Okay, to the return parameter. Okay, what is the return parameter in this case? Also same, almost same. Et underscore what? Entity underscore what? Set. So if you see here, et underscore entity set. Et underscore entity set. So I need to map it to that. So it's an internal table. So I require a work area. So let me declare the work area of which sort? Et underscore entity set. Et underscore entity set. So data w underscore what? Entity set, like what? Line of et underscore entity set. Loop at t underscore bp header into work area. What is the work area? W underscore, yeah, w underscore what? Bp header. And loop, just I'll clear the work area. W underscore what? Entity set. Yeah, w underscore entity set hyphen. What is the two entities in the, what is the two properties in the second entity? Supplier id and what? Supplier name. Supplier id equal to, okay, what are the fields in this? What are the fields in this? BP underscore ID, nothing but business partner ID, and I'll go for this one. Company name, nothing but business partner company name. BP underscore ID and what? Company underscore name. BP underscore ID and company underscore name. So W underscore BP header hyphen what? BP underscore ID, business partner underscore ID, and W underscore entity set hyphen what? Supplier name equal to W underscore BP header hyphen what? Hyphen what? Company underscore name. So I'm mapping the corresponding fields. Done. Append W underscore entity set to what? What is the return type? ET underscore entity set. That's all. And let me save it. Check for the syntax and it done. Activate this. Okay, this is also done. Then what is the fourth one here? Return the details of what? Specific supplier. Return the details of specific. I have to implement which method? Get entity of so and so. So here I'll say 1 second. Yeah. So let me implement this method also. Supplier set underscore get underscore what entity, which is used to return what? Specific supplier details. What is the input we are going to pass? Key property. What is the key property in the second entity? Supplier ID. Na? So what is the next step here? I have to read the input values. So read the supplier ID. Okay, sent through what? Sent through what? URL. What is the parameter which will carry that same thing? What is that? IT underscore key underscore tab, which is of type internal table. The structure of this is what? So and so. So let me refer to the structure, or you can use like line of. Anything is fine. Data W underscore key underscore what? Tab. Type what? Type what? So and so. Done. Read table. IT underscore key underscore tab into what is the work area? W underscore key underscore tab and with key name equal to what is that I am going to pass supplier ID na? So supplier ID transporting what value? Transporting value. So if size of ours is equal to 0, if size of ours is equal to 0, yeah, what I have to do? Acha. I need to know what is the function model we need to call. Okay, what is the function model to call here to get the specific supplier details? Just like for the list of suppliers, we are using get list. So obviously, you'll have what get detail. Get detail. And what is the signature of this? I need to prepare a work area of so and so type, which contains what supplier ID. Okay, then BP underscore ID tab. So here I will extract what supplier ID because I have to pass the supplier ID to that function model. So data W underscore BP underscore ID type what so and so type so and so W underscore BP underscore ID hyphen what BP underscore ID is equal to what is the work area prepared W underscore key underscore what? Tab. W underscore key underscore tab hyphen what? Value. Yeah, hyphen value. Done. Then here I'll say call what? So BAPI function module. Call the BAPI function module to get what? Supplier details. Okay, what is the return type of this? It returns me work area of this sort. I need to receive it. So I'll declare a parameter data w underscore bp underscore header type what? So and so. Done. Call the function model. So I'll go to pattern. Sorry. I'll go to pattern. Get underscore what? Detail. Get underscore detail. Done. What is the work area I prepared there earlier? Data w underscore bp underscore what id. It returns a work area containing what? Supply details. I'll receive in my parameter w underscore what? bp underscore what? Header. Done. Then here data w underscore bp underscore header. Then what is the last step here? I need to return it, map it to return parameter. Map the supplier details to the return parameter. Map the supplier details to return parameter. So obviously here it is the work area. What is that work area? Er underscore what? Entity. Er underscore entity. So er underscore entity hyphen er underscore entity hyphen supplier id. Supplier id equal to what is the work area? Data w underscore bp underscore header hyphen bp underscore header hyphen what are the fields in that? What are the fields in this? 1 second. Yeah, bp underscore id, company underscore name, same thing. Bp underscore id and company underscore name. Bp underscore id, then er underscore. Here at the entity level, the field name is supplier name. Supplier name equal to here at the function model level, it is what? Company underscore name. Company underscore name. Done. Then also endif. Endif and what? End method. Done, done, done. That's all. Let me save it. Check for the syntax error. Activate this. That's it. Okay, so I'll just go back, activate everything, regenerate the runtime artifacts. Okay, since this is the first time, I need to register my service with the gateway client. Okay, I have registered. Let me maintain. Okay, so I'll go to gateway client. Yeah, so first, as usual, what you have to do, get the information about your service by using the query option $metadata. So if you, I can see it, it is giving the metadata. So we have two entities here. What is the first entity here? Product is the first entity. And what is the key property in this? Product ID is a key property. And there are the rest of the properties. Sorry. Rest of the properties. Okay, scroll down. Yeah, I got another entity. What is that? Supplier. What is the key property here? Supplier ID. Done. Good. You can see here in the product entity only, you can see the navigation property. What is the navigation property here? To supplier is a navigation property. Done. So first what I'll do is, sorry. First, let me query for the list of what products. So what is the entity set I have to give? Product set. So when I give like this, we know which method it will call. It will call what? Product set underscore get underscore what? Entity set. So when I execute, that I got some response. So you can observe here, I got all the product details. I got all the product details done like this. Okay. And each product details contains what? Supplier ID. Na? So let me keep this supplier ID for my reference for later use. Okay, done. Let me take one product ID also. What is the product ID here? HT-1003. So let me query for HT-1003. So this is for what? Specific product. So what is the URL I am sending? The second one. This one. Get entity URL product set. In the parentheses I am passing what? Product ID. I am passing the product ID. Okay. So when I execute this, done. You can see here, I got what? Specific product details. HT-1003, and that product also contains what? Supplier ID. Done. Okay, so let me take this also for my reference. Yeah, this is another supplier ID. Done. Now I want to get the list of all the suppliers. I want to get the list of all the suppliers. So if you browse this, we have what? Supplier set here. I'm not passing any parameters. So what happens? It will execute what? Supplier set underscore get underscore what? Entity set, which will return all the suppliers. So when I execute, yeah, you can see here, I got all the supplier details. Each supplier contains what? Supplier ID and what? Supplier name. You can observe it. Each supplier has got supplier ID and supplier name. Yeah, supplier ID and what? Supplier name. Done, 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 done. Okay. Now I'll give a specific supplier ID. Let me take this randomly. This one. I'll take this one. And here I'll say in the parentheses, I'll give the supplier ID. In this fourth scenario. What is the fourth scenario? We are trying to get the details of what? Specific supplier. So when I execute this, done. This also I'm getting. Okay, I'm getting the supplier ID and what? Supplier name. Okay, so far what we have done is we have separately got the product details, separately got the supplier ID. Now the requirement is here. The requirement here is, let me, one second please. Yeah, here. Okay, first randomly let me get all the products. Just try to understand. Okay, we'll get what? The list of what? All the products. We are getting the list of all the products. Okay. Now suppose here I'll say HT what 1003. If I leave it like this, what happens? You'll get only the product details. You'll get only the product details, which includes what? Supplier ID. So are we getting that? Yeah, you can see the result here. I got HT-1003, which contains the product details and also what? In that one, we have one property what? Supplier ID. Okay, this we got. This anyway we know. Now my requirement is I'll give the URL like this. I know the product. I know the product. I don't want the product details. I want the supplier details of that particular product. So what is the navigation property? You have created slash. This is the way you have to send the request. Slash what? To supplier. Slash to supplier. So what it has to do now? I may see the user might send the request like this. He may send only the product ID. If he sends a product ID, I should get only what? Product details. If I say like this, what is the meaning of that? From the product entity, we are trying to navigate to what? The dependent entity, that is supplier entity. So when I give like this, it should return me only the supplier details. Means for this product, I want the supplier details. So when I execute, I have not written the code. Let's see what happens. What happened here? I got some error. Resource not found for the segment what? Supplier. I have not written the code for that. So I need to address this particular fifth scenario. What is that? Return the details of a supplier based on what? Given product. Okay, so we have created the navigation property, but we have not made the code changes. Okay, so this is the overall requirement. So I'll cover this one tomorrow. And also I'll take one more example, like sales order, header and item. If I give one sales order number, I should get the corresponding item data. Okay, the user might get only the header details, user might get only the item details, or user might give some header information. He might want the corresponding item information. So again, I have to create one navigation property. Here also, I know the product. I know the product, but I want the supplier details of this particular product. What is the entity which is carrying the supplier detail? The second entity. The second entity has got two properties: supplier ID and supplier name. So it has to return me that. That part I'll discuss that tomorrow. Is it clear? So today, what you have done is just you have created this one. Okay, we have created two entities. We have created the association. On top of that association, we have created one navigation property, and we implemented these four scenarios which we have written many times. This anyhow we have written many times. Individually getting the product details, or individually getting the supply details, or specific product details, specific supply details. We have not yet discussed this part. This part will be covering tomorrow. Means if I give the product, I should get the corresponding supplier details. So what is the code changes that I have to do, and how the methods gets executed internally, that we'll discuss in the tomorrow's session. Hope it's clear. Any questions? This fifth scenario, it is little time consuming. We require some explanation for that. That's why I'll discuss it tomorrow. It takes another half an hour time. So I'll discuss it tomorrow. Right? So I'll try to share up to this part. The rest of the part I'll share tomorrow. Okay? Chalo then. So I'll wind off. We'll continue tomorrow. Any questions?